Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long II. Not the first, not the third. I am the second. And we are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'scalifornia.com. We are also live on today'scanada.com. We are all over the Twitterverse. Soon to be the metaverse. You heard it here first. But yeah, we are your local national interactive sports talk show. And we're here in Coachella Valley. And as he is each and every day, my main man, Mo Murphy. What's going on, boss?
What's going on, bro? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We was off yesterday. I haven't seen you since the weekend. How was your weekend, brother?
All good, bro. Same thing. Drinking and watching football, dog.
Drinking and watch football. For sure. So, we're going to talk some NFL today. Of course, we had a game last night. Wasn't really much of a game, but we had some good games on Sunday. But before we jump into the NFL, why don't you just let them know? Go ahead and bang your chest because you're Mr. Upset Alert. So you called an upset this past weekend in college football. Which one was it?
I don't know. Remind me, which one did I call? I don't remember. I said, was it? Are we talking about Oklahoma?
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I said Oklahoma was going. I had them on upset alert against Baylor. It's big games like that could go either way. Oklahoma's been playing a lot of close games. That's usually where you separate whether they're gonna win the Big 12 or not. Is in a game like that where they could put all the disrespect they were getting to rest, being number 8 in the college football playoff, or you lose a close game to a team that's just as good as you, and that's what happened. You lost a game to a team that was just as good as you. Showed up, they benched Caleb Williams. That's we don't see that often at a top program, especially a program ran by Lincoln Riley, who was, this was QBU prior to, the whole debacle between Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams. I mean, you had Jalen Hurts, who had success, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. These guys had success at Oklahoma, turned out to be, 2 number 1 picks. Second round pick, looking decent in the NFL. I hate Baker Mayfield, so whatever. But
I would say he revived their careers too. I mean, because you had Kyler Murray with the Texas A&M and didn't really work out there, but he went down to Oklahoma, became a Heisman Trophy winner, and the same thing happened for Jalen Hurts. He left
Baker
Alabama,
too.
and Baker too. Texas Tech, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, Jalen Hurts looked like a guy who was just gonna go sell car insurance after his Alabama career once he got benched for Tua. And then,
he'd have been the fastest car salesman there, though.
Hey, he might have been, but he went, he ended up at Oklahoma. So, I mean, I called that. Michigan almost lost to Penn State. Like I said, when I always say upset alert, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm just going to flat out pick a certain team, but you always got to watch out. I mean, look, even Auburn losing, we ain't really talk about that game because that wasn't the biggest deal, to be honest. But, yeah, I mean, what can I say, man? Like, that's it.
That Penn State, that Penn State game came down to the wire, and I was like, man, Mo was like 2 for 2.
Bro, it came down, and I'm like, Penn State I think they're at a point where they have a lot to prove, I guess, because they're losing a lot of close games too. Michigan trying to stay afloat. Michigan trying to convince the rest of the country that they are who the committee thinks they are and that they have a shot at Ohio State. So they're trying to stay afloat so that game against Ohio State really matters for the Big Ten. So I don't even know who Michigan plays this week. Honestly, I know I'm all in on who Ohio State got. I don't really care about the rest of college football this week. But Michigan has Maryland, so Ohio State got to take care of business. But I know Michigan doesn't want to get upset by Maryland. They want this. I mean, this would be probably the second biggest matchup of the Harbaugh era. Between Michigan and Ohio State.
Tagovailoa?
Yeah, hey, he might do a little something. So this might be the second biggest matchup of the Ohio State Michigan since Jim Harbaugh's been there. The year with the butt first down, I guess you want to call it, where some people say Barrett got it, some people say he didn't, was the only game that really meant something. I guess the Dwayne Haskins year was a big game too, and everybody had Michigan winning. We beat them by like 40. So yeah, Michigan's just trying to stay afloat, and Penn State's trying to establish themselves as something to prove. So that was kind of where I was coming from. And Michigan don't blow teams out when you really they don't blow good teams out. They're not blowing division opponents out. They didn't blow out, Nebraska. They didn't blow out Rutgers. They're better. They're good enough to win, but they don't blow teams out. Which, if I'm Michigan, I'm kind of scared. But whatever.
He is Mo Murphy. I am Barry Long II. We are live right here on CoachellaValley.com. This is Go Long Live, and so let's transition from college to NFL. We saw a lot of good. We saw a few good games on Sunday. We saw some great performances by a few dudes. But let's just go through the list. First off, let's talk about your Cowboys, bro. 43-3 over the Falcons. And all these teams in the NFL have laid a stinker. We saw the Ravens do it this past weekend against the Dolphins. We saw the Bills do it against the Jaguars. The Cowboys had a stinker against the Broncos, but what did they do? They came back and they made a statement. And it was a big home win. And I was impressed with some of the turnovers that y'all had. But this is the largest margin of victory that the Cowboys have had since week 8 of 2000. We're talking 21 years ago. Cowboys haven't been blowing teams out the past 21 years. But it was good to watch on Sunday. How did you feel watching that game?
I mean, don't let that stat. They haven't beat a team by 40 or more in 21 years. Teams shouldn't be getting beat by 40 in there. Like the whole we don't blow people out. Like 40 points is a college score, okay? So
yeah, you're right.
I mean, we look great. It was one of those, like, we had something to prove coming off a bad loss against Denver. Atlanta's fighting for a playoff spot. They still are after that loss. They're not all the way dead in the water. But I think, like, if Dallas lost back-to-back to Denver and Atlanta, like, those would have been good wins for both of those teams, but you look at Dallas different. Like, you know, like I said, you look at Dallas as a contender, and you still do because of their win against Atlanta. So that was big time for Dallas. And, I mean, you know, we'll get into the game. We'll get into the game here of, you know, what made it mean the most. But, man, that Dallas versus Kansas City game on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern, baby, that's game of the week.
And look, so that's another team that had a few struggles this season. They've been, kind of clunking along. They've been kind of just surviving. And but the Chiefs came out with a big performance on the Sunday night game, and they flipped the score on them, 41-14 against the Raiders. Pat Mahomes looked like the real Pat Mahomes. With the real Pat Mahomes, please stand up. He did 406 pass yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 127.6 passer rating, and I was watching that game. Like, the defense is playing pretty well. They causing turnovers, like the Deshaun Jackson fumble caused by the secondary.
He caused that.
He's always trying to do too much. He's always trying to get in the zone.
I'm not giving defense credit for that. He did that.
Yeah, but okay.
I'll give it to you though. But
he pulled the ball out. The ball was poked out
because he did that. If Deshaun Jackson would just not shied away from contact and just went down to the ground and got tackled and not did everything he could avoid, he wouldn't have had the opportunity for that to happen. Deshaun Jackson, here, have the ball. Like, that's essentially here, take the ball.
Yeah, and well, even with adding him, and he played okay. But Pat Mahomes and those Chiefs look like world beaters again. And this division, man, is starting to kind of flip. And you called it earlier in the season. I said, man, the Chiefs were like 2-4, 2-5. I was like, man, it's over. It's over. And it absolutely is not. When you have that guy behind center or under center, then anything is possible. And with this division being wide open right now, Chiefs look real good. They look real, but I ain't gonna say it. Because I already called them to not make the playoffs. So I'm hoping for them to struggle more, but we'll see. This is Go Long Live. We are a interactive national sports TV show, and we are live on Coachella Valley. We are also live on Today's California and Today's Canada. You can comment, and please comment and let us know whatever. You like Mo's hair? You like my King's hat? Hit us up. Let us know. And then comment on some of the stuff that we're talking about. We want to interact with y'all. So, all right, now let's go through this Seahawks-Packers game. Now, Russell Wilson was out for a while, and with the finger injury, and it was kind of like I felt like he was being rushed back too soon, because that it's his middle finger, and that middle finger is the longest finger. It's the last one, to touch that ball. So I was thinking he's probably going to have some duck throws. Like, there are going to be some weeble wobblers. There's going to be too much air under some of these balls, and we saw that. And Russell Wilson significantly struggled, and they lost 17-0. We saw Aaron Rodgers return from COVID after being asymptomatic and being drugged through the media like Gaddafi. They drugged this man all through the dirt, and he came out, and they're 8-2 right now. They look like real contenders for the Super Bowl, especially after what we saw happen to the Rams yesterday. What are your thoughts on the Packers and Seahawks game?
I mean, the Seahawks, man, like they got some digging to do. because they're gonna have to dig themselves out of a hole that they put themselves in that they wouldn't have been in had they won that game. I mean, their defense did an adequate job. They only, the Packers only had 17 points. Like, it's not like Aaron Rodgers had an amazing game. I'm not taking away from the Packers. They did what needed to be done. But, it is one of those, like, maybe you rush Russell Wilson back. You see that you still had an outside chance of making it to the wild card. You see the teams you're chasing. I mean, even still, if Russell Wilson gets healthier, like, they have a chance. They're chasing the Panthers, the Falcons, the Saints with no Jameis Winston, which takes all the trust I have in New Orleans out. Minnesota, who had a good win, but whatever. They also have they lose a lot of close games. They finally came on the right side of that. Philly, New York, like almost every NFC team, Washington, almost every NFC team, has a stake besides Detroit. I mean, Detroit realistically, logically has a chance, but they're not. But all those teams have, if they get hot, could get in that 7th seed. They're like 2 games out with 3 wins. So, but I think Seattle needed to win that game. So to me, that was one of the key things, was that I thought they were going to get it done. Aaron Rodgers coming off of COVID, I didn't know how he would look. He didn't look great, but he didn't need to look great when Russell Wilson looked absolutely terrible. So maybe Russell Wilson's getting healthier, but then with San Francisco looking the way they looked last night, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for Seattle. They're in their own division to have to dig themselves out of a hole.
Absolutely, and I think it's fair to say. I think it's fair to say that they're pretty much done. They lose 2 more games. I mean, it's
not. They're not done though.
3-6, 3-6. Mo Murphy.
They're not done though. Like, I'm not saying that they can make the playoffs, but they're not done. They're 3-6, and they're 2 games out of the 7th seed. Like, 2 games. We got 9 games left. I think 8. We got 8 games left. So, like, realistically, they're not all the way done. Like, to be 2 games out with 8 games, yeah, you need things to shake your way, but things, bro, it happens all the time.
I know, I absolutely, but
it's
still,
a 17-game season now. It's different. Like, 7 games, you go 5-2, and the team behind you go 3-5. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that's a game changer, bro. Like, they're not all the way dead, but I'm not gonna sit there and say that they're gonna make it. I mean, do you trust Carolina up to this point? Like, no, I don't. Do you trust New Orleans?
I will.
No, I'm not trusting Carolina. Do you trust New Orleans? No, like, because they don't have Jameis. I'd have a lot more trust. I'd say they'd probably win the division if they had Jameis Winston, but now They may not make the playoffs. Do you trust Washington? No. Giants? No. Atlanta? No. Philly? No. Like, you don't trust any of those teams any more than Seattle. So if they take dumps and Seattle gets narrow victories, this is NFL, not college. A dub is a dub. Your record is your record. So they have a chance, but they're going to need some things to shake their way, and Russell Wilson going to have to play better. He's going to have to be healthier. They have 0. Just go back to Geno Smith and hope you can win those games that way, because Geno would have played better than that. He could have played worse. I put it like that. He could have played worse.
But, yeah, I mean, so in my opinion, Seattle fans, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, it's time to focus on the Kraken. It's time to focus on hockey, because I don't see it. I don't see it coming. I don't see them coming and making that 7th seed spot. I mean, the Eagles won yesterday or on Monday or Sunday, and they're 4-6. So, like, these teams are looking good. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, Seattle. We'll see. But let's jump to this next game. It was my favorite score to see. It was 34-10. The Panthers defeated the Cardinals. And, of course, we didn't see Kyler Murray again. He's been out the last 2 weeks. And we saw Colt McCoy signing. But we had Cam Newton. Cam Newton is back in the NFL where he belongs. And I know he's been, drugged through the media for the last few years. He got cut from New England, and then there's some rumors that because of the unvaccination, that he just wasn't being a team player. He wasn't all in. And Mac Jones has arrived. So he had to move on. But Cam Newton is staying ready, working out, and then picking the right situation. He goes back to a place where he started his whole career. He was an MVP. Went to the Super Bowl, and he's that guy. He was able to get his same number back. That was beautiful. But PJ Walker did an amazing job. Cam Newton has to learn that playbook, and he will. If they brought him in on short goal, 1st and goal situations, and he was able to score a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. And when he took off that helmet and said, "I'm back," I felt just a sense of just happiness because, I just want to see people win. And Cam Newton being back in that city, back where he belongs in the NFL, was just a beautiful thing to watch. What are your thoughts?
I guess I'm glad that, I'm glad Cam's back. When he ran it in for Carolina, it made sense. Like Cam Newton in the end zone in a Panthers uniform with number 1, it all made sense. It just felt like this is the first time in the NFL something made sense, because we've been seeing crazy things happen on a week-to-week basis. 3 or 4 weird things happen. But the one thing that made sense, even on another crazy weekend, was the fact that Cam Newton got in the end zone in his return, and then he's getting prepared to be the starting quarterback against his former coach Ron Rivera. Let's pump the brakes on Cam Newton, right? Let's let.
He looks healthy though. He was not shying away from contact. He looks like he looks healthy. He learned that playbook. All bets are off.
So we're taking what? So we're taking away. I just want you to hear.
What a great Cinderella story though. If Cam Newton could go and take them to the playoffs, maybe that division, you never know.
God, and I love Cam Newton. I love the story.
They're 5-5. They're definitely gonna get one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, they have a shot.
They got a better shot than Seattle.
I didn't say they didn't. But what I'm saying is, bruh, slow the Cam Newton stuff down. That man got the ball and ran it in at the 3-yard line. He's capable of doing that. He's still somewhat of an athlete. He looked healthy off a 3-yard run. No, he's a big body. He was able to do it because he's Cam Newton. And then he threw a little dump pass. And we're saying Cam Newton, he's back. He's back in the NFL. He got in the end zone, but he owned 3 for 4 for 8 yards, bro. That's what he did passing. PJ Walker did not play great. Whatever. He did what I guess he
did what he had to
do. But 3 for 4, 8 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. I get it. But let's see, we got to wait and see. Okay, he's going to take first team reps. He's going to learn the offense. I don't even expect them to look that great against Washington, if you want me to be honest, but I'm not going to knock them for it. Nobody just learns a new offense and new playbook and looks amazing in the first week. And even if he does, that doesn't mean there won't be some bumps in the road for the rest of the season. You just hope that between him and McCaffrey and the weapons that they have, they can do enough that those bumps in the road ain't really going to matter, and that he'll have the whole system down and ready to go come playoff time, just to get knocked out in the first round, though. Spoiler.
Yeah. The defense looks good, though. And they
good, though. But, it's an amazing story. I love it. I love that Cam, it made sense. I smiled when Cam got in the end zone. I watched that game, even though it was a blowout, just because, man, it's beautiful to see Cam Newton in the Panthers uniform.
Yes.
Beautiful to see that organization give him another chance. But at the same time, what did I take away from it? Watch out for the Panthers. Cam Newton looked absolutely amazing from the 3-yard line and in. They used him exactly how I thought they were going to use him. When they get close, they're going to use him because what's going to be the most effective? The RPO option between him keeping it and running the ball, McCaffrey keeping it, or McCaffrey catching out the backfield, or Cam Newton keeping it with the option of him running or throwing, with the intentions of throwing, but can always run out of a pressure situation. That's going to be one of the most dangerous things in the NFL, but we'll see. That's all I'm saying is we'll see.
I just happen to like the whole narrative, the whole story of the prodigal son returning and getting what he deserves. So I'm rooting for you, Cam. And you know what?
For Cam, but it's just pump the brakes on.
Let's pump the brakes. We'll pump the brakes. But y'all see. Cam's focused. I've seen a lot of interviews, and he has a different mentality after being away from the game, and I'm excited for him. Now, real quick, let's do the meme of the day because it relates to Cam Newton.
Can I please say something real quick?
Go ahead.
That man ain't focused on the game. First off, that man referred to himself as Moses, bro. So let's just stop. Let's just stop,
bro, man.
Taking the game serious.
They think certain people are crazy. They think Kanye West is crazy. He might be a genius. You heard that last album?
No, that's not the same. This man said, I read the scripture and Moses was in the desert talking to Jesus. Where we at? In Arizona, the desert. Bro, come on, bro.
He's doing a bit too much with that. And he's doing too much with his hairstyle, bro. But these this is the meme of the day.
Carolina boys.
So if y'all don't know out there, the Island Boys are famous. They are all over TikTok. These guys look ridiculous, but I mean, it's kind of swag. Cass, you from Florida, Mo Murphy. Have you ever seen anybody in public like with your own eyes in person like that with that hairstyle?
Yeah,
I'm talking about like Island Boy.
Not them, no, like not them, not them white boys. But yeah, I've seen it.
All right, but we got Robbie Anderson and you got Cam Newton, and they are the new Island Boys. But I like that, the Carolina Boys. All right, so let's talk about another game. This is Go Long Live. I ain't very long. The second, this is Mo Murphy. Let's go into another game that I wanted to talk about. We got to just rip the Band-Aid off. Rams 49ers last night. The Rams look like complete, utter trash. Matt Stafford, he's for as well as he's played the first, there are 10 games in, the first 8 games. He was looking like a really good role, but what he did this past 2 games has not been that well, and he's looking like he just needs to take a break, take a breather, because he's got a great team. We saw Odell Beckham Jr. They tried to work him in some packages. They had him in the backfield. It was exciting to see him touch the ball, especially on that first pass of the game. But the 49ers are not done. They're definitely not done. Jimmy Garoppolo is 5-0 against the Rams. Never lost to the Rams, and they just put a butt whipping on them. What are your thoughts on the game?
Nothing. I don't take a listen. The Rams are going into a bye week. They look bad the past 2 games, but whatever. They're still one of the best teams in the NFL. They're gonna have a bye week to get it together. And just like you should be nervous that the Rams are going in 7-3, look bad, and got a bye week to fix it. So over the next 2 weeks, Matthew Stafford and Odell are gonna have an opportunity to prepare and get on the same page. Like Odell, to me, probably if he's on the same page as Matt Stafford, is going to be more dangerous than Robert Woods was. Shout out to Robert Woods. He's a great wide receiver, but he's no Odell. And neither is Cooper Kupp, to be honest. As great as he's playing, he's no Odell when we talk about the talent level. But you saw last night in desperation, like Matt Stafford was seeking, making it a point to get the ball to Cooper Kupp. So that's just his guy. Sometimes a connection exceeds the talent there when a quarterback just finds you just on that page. The Wes Welkers, the
Hines Ward.
Yeah, the Danny Amendolas, like guys like that, like they're really good in their role because they're just on the same wavelength as the quarterback. But even still, like they're gonna have 2 weeks to prepare to, like you said, take a break, take a breather. Look where you could improve, look what you did wrong. And so it could get dangerous. Everybody counting them out. They got two losses in a row, 2 bad losses. Yeah, it happens. But like you said, everybody in the league has had some stinkers. Like, granted, they did them 2 in a row, but I mean, the Bucs lost to Trevor Siemian and the Saints, go on the bye week and come and lose to the Taylor Heineke and the Washington football team. And
watch him out.
Say he's trash. And we ain't killing them.
Taylor.
We're not killing the Bucs the same way because they lost 2 weeks ago. They had a bye week, so we not even think about the fact that they've dropped 2 stinkers back to back. They lost to Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heineke. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I didn't think about it like that.
Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heineke. And we're not panicking, but we killing the Rams for losing to Jimmy G. Who they lose to last week? And Ryan Tannehill. Yeah. Because Derrick Henry wasn't there. I get it. But you lost to Ryan Tannehill and Jimmy G. But we're giving the Bucs a pass on losing to Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heineke. What does that make sense? Like, that's all I'm saying. Not panic. Let them go into the bye week. I'm sure Stafford and Odell go put in extra hours to be on that same page and get ready for the second half of the season. And so there's still only a game out of winning the NFC West. Their defense is still adequate. They give up a lot of rush yards, though. That's kind of concerning. Like,
they do. That was the most concerning thing I saw last night is that we were talking about that defensive line.
They'll be fine.
That defensive line is supposed to be one of the best. And you got Aaron Donald and freaking Von Miller on the same line. They could put you and I in there, and it would still be an okay line. But
they get to the quarterback though.
They got worked in that run game. I mean, San Francisco, it was in the trenches is where they really won. They were handling them, and then on the flip side, Joey Bosa was getting off on him, or Nick Bosa was getting off on him. So. That game last night to me was one in the trenches. I was just focusing on the offensive line and the defensive line and the line of scrimmage the entire game because it was kind of shocking to me to see, the Rams get worked like that in the run game. And if they can't stop the run, it's gonna be a long last half of the season. But
that was such a bad matchup for them, though. Like,
on the road,
they're coming off a bad loss, but on the road, and then that D line versus that O line, like you talking about, bro. They put Trent Williams and George Kittle on the same side. You were talking about the best blocking tight end in football, and you talk about probably the best left tackle in football. And you put them on the same side as Aaron Donald. You knew what you was doing. Like, take away Aaron Donald. Don't even run that direction, but take him out. Von Miller tried to, set the outside. Take him out the game. So it's like, it was just a bad matchup for them, on a Monday night. They'll be fine. Like, that offensive line, as San Francisco's getting healthy, Trent Williams is probably the best offensive lineman in football. Like, we debated, but with his athleticism and his size, and then George Kittle to me is the best blocking tight end in football. So it's one of those, like, it was just a bad matchup for LA. They offense should have looked better. Their defense looked concerning, but their offense should have looked better. But whatever, it's their back-to-back duds, if you want to call it, and they're gonna be fine after the bye week. I ain't worried about the Rams, at least not yet. I'm not worried about them yet.
Yeah, not yet. We'll see. After the bye week, if you come off a bye week and you got 2 weeks to prepare for a team and you look like trash, then this might be a little bit time to not panic, but start to move your hand towards that panic button.
But we're not panicking on Tampa, so I won't say
you can never panic on Tom Brady.
Yes, you can. Like, he's only
gonna be there. He's gonna be there when the dust settles. He's gonna be there.
But he's only getting older. Like, it's not.
Are you sure he's getting older?
Oh, we're starting to see. Not everybody's as invincible as they once was. Like, I'm not. Who's to say the season ain't getting to Tom Brady? Like, I'm not calling that. I'm just saying, like, when you look at the Bucs, like, their offense hasn't looked great. I know, like, no AB and no Gronk, that does make a difference. But you still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You still have Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. You still have an adequate offensive line. You still have Leonard Fournette in the backfield. Like, all I'm saying is, if after those two wide receivers, it come down to AB and Gronk, is the whole reason why your offense looks absolutely lost. And it wasn't on Tom Brady, if you want to be honest. All them drop passes and stuff, that's on the receivers. But that can't happen with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the field. So I'm just looking at that offense as a whole. I'm like, what happened? Like, why were y'all dropping so many passes? Like, that was one of the worst performances I've seen Tampa's wide receiver group. And I get it. When AB and Gronk comes back, it's different. But you're talking about Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still out there on the field. So what was going on that passes weren't being caught? Them 2 interceptions that Brady, one of them was his fault. The other was the receiver caught it, turned around, got it popped out his hand, but catch yet is considered an interception. Really should have fumbled, but because he didn't make a football move, it was considered an incomplete pass had it hit the ground. So it was an interception. But I mean, it's just one of those, like, if they're that dependent on AB and Gronk, then they might have some problems in the first place.
But we remember what Tampa Bay did last year. They limped into the playoffs, basically. I mean, because Bruce Arians and Tom Brady couldn't get on the right page. And Byron Leftwich as well. And they're no risk it, no biscuit mentality that Bruce Arians brings to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was trying to force that on Tom Brady. And we know Tom Brady has had success in New England by, getting the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. These little quick screens. He's just if he takes a lot of hits, he's gonna be not Tom Brady. So they eventually figured it out throughout the playoffs of how to properly gauge, where Tom Brady is in the game and his mind, and they kind of like met in the middle, and it turned out to be successful. So what I'm saying is the Bucs, they might look like they struggled. They did lose to Trevor Siemian and Taylor Heineke, and shout out to Taylor Heineke from ODU. But yeah, it's Tom Brady. So I think that's one where we should let's just wait and see. But I think they'll be there when the dust settles. But yeah, you might be right. I mean, they could have a first round exit. It depends on a lot of different factors. But Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. All right, we got a couple more minutes here. Let's talk about this Lions and Steelers game. This is Go Long Live, by the way. I am Barry Long II. This is Mo Murphy. So the Lions and Steelers 16-16, bro. It's like kissing your sister when you tie. Right? That's what they say. It's like kissing your sister. This game was.
I heard that, but I ain't never heard that one, but okay.
All right, so Lions are 0-8 going in this game. Steelers are 5-3. No Big Ben. Big Ben, is on the COVID protocol list. So Dwayne Haskins. out of Ohio State, Mo Murphy. He was supposed to be the backup quarterback, and he was the number 2. And they said that he was out there throwing lazy passes. He was checking his phone during warm-ups, doing typical Dwayne Haskins stuff. And he got benched before the game, and they put in Mason Rudolph. And Mason Rudolph did what Mason Rudolph could do, but ultimately it was bad weather, and it was just an ugly, sloppy game. And I kind of figured it was going to end in a tie once they went to overtime. But yeah, man, the Lions. So they're 0-8-1 now. They can't go 0-17. They would have been the first team in NFL history to go 0-17. But does that doesn't count as a win? But does that, if let's say they go 0-16-1?
It's a half a W. Like I mean,
half a W.
Yeah, it's half a W. Like, it's not a win, it's not a loss. But when you talk about records, it's like half. So like if it comes down to, if they win a game, so if they go 1-15-1 and the Texans lose out and they're 1-16, the Texans will have the worst record by half a game because of the tie that the Lions had. So I mean, it's not a loss, it's a half a W. Like, it's one of those, where you go back to the saying, like, you look at that half as a glass half empty or half full. Well, I'm gonna look at it as half full. It's a half a W, because you could call it a half a loss, but it's a half a W. So I don't know. I mean, the game was horrible. Like, I expected it to be a bad game regardless. Like, the Steelers and the Lions, neither teams are great offensively. Jared Goff had 11 pass yards at halftime.
He's terrible. He had
11 pass yards at halftime.
What's his problem, man?
What is convinced that he's terrible, though? Like,
he's got the physical tools.
Look who he's throwing the ball to. Because he wasn't great in LA. Don't get me wrong. But when he had the right pieces, he was decent. Like, and I mean decent. Like, we could go at the bottom. We could play him at the bottom tier of average. I'm okay with that. Like, he was the last batch of average quarterbacks. He still was
the last batch.
He was literally like the bottom tier of average. But now you're expecting Jared Goff, who's at the bottom tier of average, to be adequately good in the worst receiving room in football. Like, Tyrell Williams is yet to come back for his concussion. Prayers up for him. But TJ Hawkinson is okay. I mean, whatever. Like, he's decent because he has to be. Freaking Quintez Cephas sucks. Like, he's trash. I'm sorry. Bro, he's trash. He was trash in college. It is what it is. Like, you're trash. DeAndre Swift is good, but he's your running back. Like, your running back can't be your bread and butter everywhere. We see how that's working out. No Michael Thomas, only Alvin Kamara. Then Alvin Kamara don't play. Look how bad that offense looked in New Orleans. Even like we were expecting Jameis to uplift a team without Michael Thomas, and like he had Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara started slow or whatever, but they were able to do it. But they also had Sean Payton calling plays, Sean Payton running the offense. We know he's going to make, the best decisions to have the offense and the best. But either way, like, I get it. Jared Goff is playing terrible, but like he's below average at this point or whatever. So what do people expect from him? Like, this is the worst team in football. Did you expect Jared Goff to get them to 4 wins? Like, they are.
Bro, Jared Goff is basura. Basura.
Bro, they are exactly
trash.
What they were. He's Baker. If you make everything right around him, he's good. If everything's not right around him, he's trash. You put Baker Mayfield on the Lions and they still don't win a game either. So, like, make everything perfect around Jared Goff. He gets you to a Super Bowl. And that's when you want to give credit everywhere else but Jared Goff, but he still was the quarterback of that team. You can praise Sean McVay and how the offense looked or whatever, but the offense goes through the quarterback, right? So even if Sean if Sean Payton put him in the best predicament to be a sustainable quarterback, they still went to a Super Bowl. So he's the bottom part of average, the same way we looked at Baker Mayfield. Now, you telling me, like, Baker Mayfield goes to Detroit, how many wins they got? None. Half a win. Maybe
one. I'll give you one. I'll give him one.
End up winning in overtime against the Steelers. Like, maybe. So you're telling me he's a game worse than Baker Mayfield. So if Jared Goff is in Cleveland, they're 4-6 instead of 5-5. That's all I'm saying. Like, but people stick up for Baker Mayfield so much and bash Jared Goff because look at Detroit and look at LA, but Matt Stafford was a lot better than Jared Goff. We know that, but Matt Stafford really was in the upper echelon as far as talent, but he was in Detroit where there was not a lot of talent around him outside of his Megatron years, and that still wasn't good enough when you talk about how bad their defense has been.
And never had a running game.
Games that they've had. Yeah. So then you put like you have Marvin Jones Jr. and Kenny Golladay. Like that's cool and all. That's nice. But even still, like my defense is terrible. Darius Slay was a great corner, but the other corner was absolutely terrible. The safeties on top of Slay was bad. So if he got burnt, he just was burnt to a crisp. We ain't had no pass rushers. We had no linebackers. Our offensive line is bad. Like, and Matt Stafford still kept the team where they could win a few games. So yeah, Matt Stafford is way better than Jared Goff. If that's what everybody is upset about, is that they got rid of Matt Stafford for Jared Goff, then whatever. But I just don't know what people expected out of Jared Goff in that Detroit offense with Dan Campbell. And I don't even know who the offensive coordinator is because I really don't care. Everybody's so upset about expectations. Like, what expectations did you have for Jared Goff? Did you think them getting Jared Goff was going to have them win 4 or 5 games? No. You still looked at them as the worst team in the NFL. So what is he supposed to do?
And by the way, their offensive coordinator is the former coach of the Chargers, Anthony Lynn.
No, even worse.
Well, you know what? I'm just happy that they were able to flip-flop Matt Stafford for Jared Goff because LA is a star-studded city. And LA fans are not going to show up unless you got stars on the field and they're winning games. And the Dodgers get it. The Lakers get it because the Dodgers will spend however much money they got to spend to get a Mookie Betts to bring in some. The Lakers. But now the Rams have figured it out and they're bringing in star after star after star. Now all they got to do is just put it all together and win. But yeah, if the Rams had Jared Goff and all those weapons around, they would be terrible. They wouldn't be terrible, but they'd be 500 or less than 500. So I just think Jared Goff is basura. All right, we're gonna talk more games tomorrow. We got a few more games that we didn't get to, but we are out of time. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Mo, let them know where they can find you at, bro.
Yeah, you can find me at Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter, Instagram, at Up in Flames Pod on Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to me on Substack at it's upinflamespod.substack.com. Make sure you get that a subscription. I'm about to start coming out with some exclusive content only meant for there. So want to get a following up over there. And as always, Barry, it's always great doing the show with you.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's great doing the show with you too. Y'all can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long, and I'm on IG at BarryLong_2. We will talk more football tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have some crazy news in the sports world because it always seems to happen on a Wednesday. But we'll definitely talk to y'all tomorrow. And as always, man, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of doing anything. Thanks for tuning in, and peace.